Hey guys, how you doing? This is Mike McCormick with Advanced Criminology here in Owings Mills. Tonight's topic is going to be no accountability in the Baltimore City School system. Now, you guys all know, you follow me, you know this is a criminal justice channel. And having done some investigation over the past few months of kind of how the city school system has operated and is currently operating today, one would think that over the past several years, with some of the high-profile cases of theft that have occurred and misappropriation of school funding, that the current CEO, Dr. Sonia Sandalise, would certainly be on top of some of those things today. But as you know, we basically sat down for the past, this was kind of like prior to us really getting involved in the Detective Sean Suda case. We were doing kind of a forensic, if you will, accounting of, we took four elementary schools here in Baltimore, and we kind of learned, well, we learned a lot in the process, but we also looked at how the budgeting process works in the individual elementary schools here in Baltimore, which I found unbelievable in many respects. This, if you're not familiar with pretty much what the controversy has been here in Baltimore with the city school system, just recently made national news where the school did not get all of the preparations made over the summer to have many schools updated and air conditioner, and heating systems fixed properly. So that when the winter time came, you wouldn't have 60 schools that subsequently had to close down because of the excess cold. The school system here has about 177 schools, and at least a third of schools were shut down. And I can't tell you how many thousands of children that affected, as well as their families, every day that they were shut down. Let's face it, I have a child, and I know that if I have to take off 2 or 3 days, that's a killer for me. So I can imagine some parents that just that was it for them. That was a camel that broke the straw's back. So the straw that broke the camel's back. So it's unbelievable that in this day and age, with preventive maintenance schedules, that pretty much a person with a doctorate degree from Harvard University, which Dr. Sandalise has, you would think that she would have competent staff under her that would certainly manage this problem long before it got to be a major situation in this city. So I wanted to touch on that because it became national news. And I don't care where you're from, you had to see a USA Today report, some type of CBS report, NBC, ABC, online report that basically showed a bunch of children in a classroom freezing to death. And I will tell you, had it been my kid in that classroom, I would have certainly gone down there and gotten my child out of there ASAP. And more than likely, knowing me, I probably wouldn't even have sent her in the beginning. But so I wanted to touch on that because, when things happen in government agencies, they're happening, but they're happening because there's a lack of checks and balances in departments. There's a lack of auditing that should go on in departments. You can't be a CEO. Just the title itself is a title. But it actually means that you are responsible for every little thing that goes on in that agency. I don't care what it is and who it's done by. At the end of the day, you're the person that has to explain to the governor or the mayor why certain things happen the way they did. And for the life of me, I don't understand how you can we have 24 counties. I don't understand how this was never an issue in just about all the other counties that surround Baltimore. But yet it was 60 schools is a lot of schools out of 177 to close down over heating conditions. So I just found it funny, and I will tell you, one of the first things that I would have done had I been the CEO of Baltimore City, I would have fired my operations person or my main engineer That's the first person who would have went. The next person who would have went, because as the story is unfolding, we're here learning now that the school system has sent back to the state over $66 million of money that was supposed to be utilized for the maintenance and repair of those old units in those 60 some odd schools. So, you know, when you start sending money back, we're not talking about a couple bucks here. We're talking about 66 million. You know, and some of the excuses, you know, have been that the bid process wasn't the correct way it's supposed to be. Well, you know, you've been doing this for a long time. There should be a system in place to do the bid process. You should have subcontractor qualifications already narrowed down. And so, you know, you can't sit there and start blaming everybody when, again, you know, you have other schools that surround the city of Baltimore and every county that were up and running. And so, you know, you can't even, it's nowhere in the world you can come on TV and justify 60 schools being closed. So I just wanted to get that off my chest, because that was I felt so sorry for those children that day when I looked at, you know, on the news and saw them all huddled together. How can a kid learn in that kind of environment? And how can you have to have some type of compassion for children. You know, there's two things in the state of Maryland that you don't fool with: old people and children. You'll go to jail quick for either one, trust me. So I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I'm going to tie this in to what I'm saying tonight. I'm going to tie this in to those 4 elementary schools that we looked at, because just as there's an oversight with the maintenance issues in the city, there's also an oversight in the individual budgets that each principal has in their school. And when we looked at the line item, because everything in these city schools works off a line item budgeting for principals. Now, 3 of the schools that we took all have a budget of around $3 million. And then we took another school which merged with a middle school, and they had a budget somewhere around $7 million. So when we looked at the elementary schools that had the $3 million budgets, we start going down the line items and looking at some of the stuff that principals have the ability to do. And the reason they have the ability to do it, because it's, you know, signed into rules and regulations from the superintendent's office that gives all principals the right to manage their schools and their budgets individually with little to no oversight at all. And we'll give you an example. We took one school, and I want to describe to you what it is and how this thing works. Basically, and I'll show it to you here, this is a printout of a particular elementary school. And you will see as I get closer there, where we've highlighted some things and put a line through there. Okay? And what we've done is we've looked at the individual line items just to give you an idea of what a principal can buy, can purchase, and not really have any accountability for it because it's not being asked of them. And this is why you had a few principals go to jail in the past several years in Baltimore, because of lack of oversight. So as you can see, there's a connection with lack of oversight at that level, and there's a connection of oversight at the operational level of individual schools in the city. And so it just goes to show you that there's always a pathway, if you will, to finding out how misappropriation happens, because generally speaking, it's allowed to happen because there's no checks and balances. So let's go on. Now, we'll take this first school. They have here, it says school funding, 0399. Now, we found 0399, which is a description, a computerized description of what that particular principal can do with that number 0399. And it's entitled Other Professional Services. Okay, well, one school we saw, it said Other Professional Services to a total of $446,000. It didn't break down what that $446 was. That's one school. We found the same number, that 0399, again, $36,000 for other professional services. Again, no breakdown. We found, let me get it here. Here we go. 0399 again. Other professional services in one school for $160,000. And then we found another number here. Now, we looked at 10 different schools, elementary schools, but one thing I found is that each principal can hire their own custodial or contract cleaning company. Now, I'm amazed at this because if the school itself, if the school district itself has to send contracts out for bid at the next level, which is the school superintendent level, where contracts go out for bid, such as contracts should have went out for bid for the heating systems in the school last summer, then how is it that the school system allows individual principals to basically hire whatever cleaning company they want to hire to come in to clean up the school with no bid process, no accountability, if you will, for the higher ups? In other words, it says here, contract cleaning. Doesn't say who did it. Doesn't say whether or not there were other bids. And contract cleaning in one elementary school was $50,000. In an elementary school, okay? $50,000 clean up. In another school, and again, this is under 0370, is a computer description for it, where it says contract cleaning, $45,000, okay? So as you can see, each individual principal can hire anybody. One person was hired for $45,000, one person's hired for $50,000 to clean up in elementary school. Now I will tell you, when I was going to elementary school, and I'm going back some time, the custodians cleaned up the elementary school, and they were already under salary. So I guess I would need to know, if I was looking over this as an accounting person or a person that's doing an audit, exactly why did you need contractual cleaning in a school, in a school when you have custodians? So those things are red flags. The next thing we saw was what they call recognition events. These are events that the principals allowed to hold for recognizing teachers, I guess, maybe some students, I would imagine, I don't know. But it says recognition events under 30361. One school had a recognition event of $5,000 that was spent. Another school had a $10,000 recognition event. So I'm just wondering, what is it that's being recognized, and why is it costing so much to have a couple of platters, if you will, maybe a couple of plaques you're going to give out to different teachers for their teaching abilities for the year. You're recognizing them, but I don't understand how you can recognize them to the tune of between $5,000 and $10,000. I've been to events cheaper than that, where it was more people. So I don't, it doesn't make sense to me. And again, this is stuff that school administrators at the principal level in Baltimore City in elementary schools can do with no oversight, with no explanation to Dr. Sonia Sandalise, who was the superintendent of Baltimore City Schools. There's another one that we had for $15,000 in other professional services. So as you can see, these printouts, I can go, here, I got them all over the place. Here, right, where we highlighted it. And it's easy to see how theft and misappropriation can permeate in a city, state government, because you got to have oversight. The problems that the city had in the school systems, with the heating systems not working, with windows not being properly sealed, these are regular routine maintenance issues. And if you can't have people underneath of you who can handle these easy jobs and making the kind of money that these folks make, because I will tell you, the Project Baltimore did an audit, their own investigation, and they found that the Baltimore City Schools were very top heavy in administrative salaries. Some of the best in the state, by the way, in terms of salaries. So, right there tells you, it seems like the school system's more concerned about paying administrative people than paying attention to students' needs. And one of the first needs that a student needs during the wintertime is to be warm, is to be safe, and to be comfortable while they're trying to learn on a daily basis. So I just thought that this particular video, I would kind of mention that, because I will tell you, from the stuff that we saw, because I'm going to send some of this stuff out to an accounting firm. Just some of the stuff that we saw, I have huge questions about. I have huge questions about how a principal that, let's keep it real here for a second. If you have a principal who can't manage their own finances at home, has judgments maybe on their credit report, can't pay bills with the salaries that they make, then how can you possibly put a $3 million budget in that person's hand and tell them, here, go for it, spend the money, by the end of the year you got to have it all spent, and then not hold them accountable for the money that they did spend? It's crazy. It just doesn't make sense to me. You know, give me your thoughts on this. And again, you know, we're titling this particular video, No Accountability in the Baltimore City school system. And I will tell you, having been in law enforcement for many years, I will tell you that I have the sneaky suspicion that there's criminality involved at that level, a whole lot more than that has been discovered in the past couple of years. So I would venture to say that when the state auditors come in, they certainly need to look at the individual budgets and how that money is being spent, because it's certainly not being spent in the way it should be spent. That's all I got for now. My name is Mike McCormick with Owings Mills. I'm out in Owings Mills, Maryland, advanced criminology. And I will talk to you guys. Give me your thoughts on this, particularly you folks who live in Maryland and live in the Baltimore region. Give me your thoughts on this, because it means a lot when you guys post your comments in reference to this. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can on these comments. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll move on to the next topic. I'll have a topic for you either tomorrow or Sunday. Thanks a lot.